It wouldn't be perpetual if it wasn't perpetual, right? Yeah, we got some Kamigawa spoilers and previews in the announcement stream, and I'm not going to be too sardonic about it. I'm excited for Kamigawa. It's a set that I am incredibly nostalgic for because this is part of my youth. I share a lot of love for it with friends like Rob, for example, who I associate with Kamigawa heavily, and I'm pretty into like cyberpunk neon coloured shit too. So I'm all for this this future look to Kamigawa. The previous stream was a weird one because it could have probably been done in 10 to 20 minutes as opposed to the 50 where they just didn't answer enough questions in the Q&A. Just told everyone to wait and see, but that's weekly MTG for you. If you want to see my reaction to the entire stream, that video will be up on my YouTube channel shortly. By the time you're watching this, it's probably out there as well. So let's crack on with the previews, shall we? So these are going to be low resolution because they have literally taken from either screenshots of the stream or cropped images. This is Kato Shizuki, a 3-mana blue-black planeswalker with a static ability, because we didn't learn from War of the Spark very well, with 3 abilities. The static ability is at the beginning of your end step. If Kato Shizuki entered the battlefield this turn, he phases out. Then a +1 draws a card, then you discard a card unless you attack this turn, which is part of a chart. The course, essentially, his -2 is create a 1/1 blue ninja creature token with this creature can't be blocked, and his -7 is a very strange one. You get an emblem, and whenever a creature you control does combat damage to a player, you search your library for a blue or black creature card and put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. The ultimate feels kind of green in a weird way, but I'm not gonna get funny about green having things taken away from it. Ultimately, it's a weird one because this planeswalker is gonna protect itself on the turn it comes in by being unattackable. Just for 1 turn though. They phase back in the following turn. That won't re-trigger the ability because phasing in isn't entering the battlefield, and then it'll be free to be attacked. Mark Rosewater talked about how this is to evoke an idea or a feel of it being a ninja and fighting from out of the shadows. Beyond that, it makes ninjas itself, and the alternate frame version that I'm going to show you here is actually the ninja frame. So they wouldn't elaborate on whether ninjas were in the set, but let's be real, if you've got a ninja frame treatment and a creature or a planeswalker, the core main face of the set, making ninjas, it's quite a good indication that ninjas are in the set. On top of that, this like origami robotic tanuki thing is actually the spirit of an ally. Yeah, origami robot tanuki is actually a sentence that I fucking love. Yeah, the Planeswalker seems cool. It doesn't seem too broken or powerful. The protecting itself thing is kind of dumb considering it already makes its own bodies. Imagine if they put a static like this to protect itself on a Planeswalker that was pushed like Oko was, for example. If I'm honest with you, I don't want to dunk on any artists here. The original, like, the normal CGI one here looks so much like a screenshot from Cyberpunk or maybe a glammed up Overwatch or something like that, that I'm not really into it. Meanwhile, the ninja frame treatment has this Japanese manga-inspired art that is just so on point. He's throwing stars. No Tanuki, so negative points for that. But I much prefer this alternative collector treatment or whatever there. I don't even know where you get these. I didn't pay enough attention to figure that bit out. And at this point, I'm too tired to even give a shit. Then we got some spoilers for returning characters. This is Hidetsugu Devouring Chaos, a 4-mana 4/4 Ogre Demon. Legendary, you might remember him from before from chopping everyone up for half their life totals. In the lore, supposedly he like ate himself for some reason. I don't... Bob tells this story all the time. He must have told it on the stream multiple times. This thing has a sack outlet on it, including being able to sack himself, which fits the whole eating himself thing. He scries, so he's like an aristocrat sacrifice engine, but he also, for 3 mana, including red by the way, so he's a red-black commander, can exile top card of your library and you can play that card this turn, and when you exile a non-land card you get to shoot something for its mana value, and it's something, its target, its player or creature. So this thing is removal, it's card advantage, it's a sack outlet, it's a 4/4 for 4. This thing's pretty good. People were complaining in my chat that you couldn't half someone's life total with that, but that's because you're not dreaming big enough, darling. If you use a Sensitive Divine on top to gel on top of your library, maybe a Brainstorm to put something like an Emrakul or Progenitors on top of your library, and then you activate Hidetsugu, you get to shoot people in the face for 10. 14, 13, whatever you put on top of your library. You can do it if you dream big enough, baby. Another interesting thing about him is that there is an alternative like shadowed art thing, which they've then stuck a lot of neon ink onto as well. So the shadow or the shaded one, the purple glow one, looks a bit like a Yu-Gi-Oh card, honestly. And then we have these. This is a literal screenshot from the stream, so the resolution is not the highest, but these are neon frame versions. The blue, the green, the pink ones will all be showing up super rarely in collector boosters. And the yellow one is some sort of WPN promo, but let's be honest, getting WPN status store a premium level is pretty fucking hard anyway. Anyway, they're going to be as rare as rockin' horse shit, and this is the only example of this neon ink treatment in the set. It is weird that Hidetsugu got it. I mean, he is a big bad guy from the original sets. There's some heritage and some lore there, but having one lottery ticket version that is then 5 different versions, including foils, if he's all avoidable in foil, that's 10 different versions of him, is kind of weird, but it wouldn't be Magic the Gathering without 1,000 different frame treatments. Oh, on that note, by the way, the Planeswalker, there was a reference that there might be a 3rd version of Kato, so make of that what you will. Honestly, I don't really give a shit about the lottery carding of them. I do have to ask the question, like, why do we need 5 versions? But lottery cards and collectibles and cosmetics are the way that I think the game should be monetized, the way the game should be collectible for those things, not for the staples. I don't think that Solitude or Force of Negation or any of these legacy modern or commander cards should be the thing that people have to pay the money out for. It should be the collectible versions of those. So I have no problem with this whatsoever. Something else that we learned was that the dragons will be returning with a cycle. 4 of the 5 dragons all died during the original Kami War. So we've got Atsushi, here is the red 4-mana dragon. It's not using the same name as the red dragon from the last Kamigawa because it's not the same one. It's a reborn one with a new name. 4-mana 4/4 Flampler, flying and trample, dragon spirit. And when they die, they're going to do a thing like the old versions did. In this case, you get to exile 2 cards on top of your library and play them until the end of your next turn, or create 3 treasure tokens. So it refunds 3/4 of its mana cost, or gets you card advantage on a 4/4 Flampling body. For 4 mana, this thing is pretty decent. It's a pretty decent rate. It's not quite Thunderbreak Regent or Goldspan Dragon or any of those sort of standard players, but I mean, I say that, maybe it actually is. The more I think about it, a body that can replace itself with card advantage later seems pretty decent, especially if there is a sacrifice core to the red-black archetype in standard or into historic with the new cards, or if you can manipulate the top of your deck enough to make sure you hit the things you need to hit when this dies. Beyond that, we also got to see the full art lands, because would it be a contemporary Magic the Gathering set without some full art lands? That's right, every single one of the lands, the basic lands, are going to have at least two, we're only shown 2, full art versions of themselves. And honestly, I just shrugged when I heard them say this, but when I saw them, my reservations were put to bed. Like, these planes are gorgeous. Look at them. They're done like a traditional art style, Japanese art style, which supposedly a lot of the art was sent to the similar art studio and collections of artists that were used for the Mystical Archives. So they are using actual Japanese artists here. It's not just like a load of white boys trying to white boys and white women trying to appropriate the culture. This is actually people doing traditional art styles or ways in which Japanese painting would be done, and they're gorgeous. Like, the plains are beautiful. I'm not too hot on the mountains. I love the fact there's a little froggy boy with a tadpole in one of these islands, and then this swamp with like the flooded garden with the lanterns above it is gorgeous. We got to see the set symbol as well, that you've seen on all these previews. The set symbol I quite like is just not generic circle with an image inside of it. It's actually relatively unique, and actually, I don't know, it's got that, the jagged edges really evoke some sort of technological sense, but then the mountain, you know, it fits with the Kamigawa ancient mountain Japanese thing too. It's a good marrying of old and new, and I think it's innovative almost, or at least striking in a way that is different to what we've had so much recently, because I couldn't tell the difference between half the sets recently and their Commander products. All the set symbols are the fucking same. And this piece of art here wasn't from the stream, but I still wanted to talk about it. This is a Kadama of the West tree, I believe, that Daniel Holt showed off on Twitter. That was perhaps on the Mothership as well as part of the new story that I haven't got around to reading myself yet. But I love how mechanized and mech-like this feels as it's walking through this river of energy with these like orbs and strings of energy going out to these spirits that are guiding it. This is fucking cool. Ultimately, we haven't got a huge amount to go on yet with only a handful of cards, and that's perfectly fine. The set isn't out till late January anyway, and people like myself completely always bitch and fucking moan about perpetual hype, right? So getting an announcement now, a couple of bits over Christmas, and running into the actual previews next month is pretty reasonable. And so far, everything we've seen, nothing is gross or broken or horrendous. I guess the Planeswalker protecting itself is kind of a weird one. The lands, those basic lands, they're 1 in every 3 draft packs. That's the thing that some people are getting funny about, because they're not as accessible as perhaps the other full arts we've seen from Zendikar, the recent Innistrad and stuff like that. But honestly, I don't care too much. Again, the collectibles and the cosmetics should be the bits that are the collectible bit or the chase bit, not the play pieces to play with. So all in all, so far, so good. So what do you think? Are you excited for Kamigawa Neon Dynasty? Do you think any of these cards jump out being way more powerful than I'm giving them credit for? Let me know in the comment section below. I've been Vince, also PleasantKenobi on the internet, and I'll see you all soon. Ta-ta for now.